Today in this video of ours, we are going to learn about a new unit, that is biotechnology. Now, biotechnology, as the name suggests, is consisting of two things, bio and technology. What is bio? Bio is living. And what is technology? Technology is the application of knowledge. So when we are using the knowledge of science to make different techniques for the welfare of the human being, then it is called technology. So biotechnology is the field where we are using living organisms for making the products, for making the different things which are helping in the agriculture, which are helping in the medicinal field, which are helping in the welfare of the human beings. So all these things comes under biotechnology. But because it is technology, that means we have to apply the knowledge of science. So here we are applying the knowledge of genetics in the with the biology. That means with living organisms, what we are doing is we are selecting a gene of interest with whatever you want in the organism. We are selecting that gene, and now that you are familiar with the genome and all, so we are selecting the gene of interest, and that gene of interest is separated. Then it is put into the vector. Now, what is vector? Vector which is transferring the gene of interest from the organism to the host organism. So what will happen? Inside this plasmid, we will cut the plasmid. What is plasmid? Plasmid is the extra chromosomal circular DNA which is present in the bacteria. So in this plasmid, we will put the gene of interest, and we will get a mixture of DNA, and that is called recombinant DNA, because we have recombined that DNA by mixing two DNA, and that DNA is called recombinant DNA. And that recombinant DNA we have to put in the host organism to multiply. Now, when will it multiply? It will multiply only when it gets incorporated with the host genome. So it will get incorporated with the host genome, and then with the host genome, it will keep on multiplying. So we will get multiple copies of the desired. To get the desired quality of genes, we were using the process of hybridization, breeding. So what is that? We used to select the plants of desired qualities, and then we used to cross them so that we get that desired quality in the progeny. This is what we were doing, agriculturists were doing. In animals also we did this experiment, selected the desired quality super mother, desired quality super father, and cross between them, and the progeny will have the desired quality. But the disadvantage with that was, one, it was time consuming. Number two, there is no guarantee that with the desired quality, the undesired genes can also come in that, because we are taking as a whole, we are taking the whole genome. So suppose, for example, you want a tomato which is rich in nutrients, number one, and number two, which is resistant to the disease. So what will you do? You will select one plant which is resistant to the diseases, and one plant which is having good nutrient quality. Crossbreed them, and then you will get a tomato which is good in nutrient quality, and the plant is also resistant for diseases. Number one. That is also no guarantee. 100% guarantee is not there. Another thing is, even if we get the desired qualities in the progeny, there are chances that whatever genes which we do not want were present in the parents, they will also come in the progeny. So the undesired genes will also get transferred. So to avoid that, this biotechnology, genetic engineering was discovered, and here we can select the gene of interest, and we can only put that gene of interest into the host organism. So we will see how this is being done. But first of all, you should know what is biotechnology. Biotechnology refers to the technology using biology. I told you what is technology, when we are applying the knowledge for the commercial production. So this technology is used using biology, which has applications in field of agriculture, food processing, industry, medicine, diagnostics, bioremediation, waste treatment, and energy production. There are various fields where we are applying the knowledge of genetic engineering, biotechnology in these various fields have its application. Now the European, you will say that, okay, formation of curd is also biotechnology because we are using microorganisms, lactobacillus for the formation of curd, and same way even the making of bread is also. But now the European Federation of Biotechnology, it has defined the biotechnology in a different manner. It says that the integration of natural science and organisms, cells, parts thereof, and molecular analogs for products and services. So that means wherever we are using the organism or their cells or their any part or their any molecules for making commercial products and services for the welfare of the human being, that is called biotechnology. Now, the basis of biotechnology are two. Principles are two. One is genetic engineering. Now, what is engineering? What does the engineer do? Mechanical parts, mechanical engineer. Now, these days, there are various streams of engineering also. Mechanical engineering is there, chemical engineering is there. So, what does an engineer do? It mixes and fixes the parts of the machinery, the mechanical engineer. So similarly, the genetic engineer, what is he doing? The genetic engineer is introducing a foreign genetic material, it can be DNA, it can be RNA, into the host genome. It is putting into the host genome and altering its phenotype. Naturally, when the genes change, the phenotype will change, because now we know that what we are is because of our genes. How we look like is because of our genes. So whatever is appear, our external characters are because of the genes. So if we are changing the genes, the phenotype will also change. So genetic engineering is what, in simple ways you can understand, that it is introduction of foreign genetic material into the host genome and altering its phenotype. I'll give you a simple example. Suppose you have seen that firefly, Jugnu. That Jugnu is having, it glows in the night. So there are some genes which are responsible for that glow. So now what has been done? These genes are present in some fishes also. So in some countries, what have they done is that they have isolated that gene, which is responsible for that glow in the night, and they have used that gene, incorporated that gene into the street plants, street trees. So the street trees are glowing in the night because now they have that gene in them. So this is genetic engineering. So basically this is genetic engineering, when we are introducing a foreign genetic material into the host genome and altering the phenotype of the host. That is genetic engineering. Now the second principle of this biotechnology is aseptic technique. What is that? That is chemical engineering. Because whenever we are growing any microorganism for multiplication of the desired gene, for cloning of the desired gene, we have to make that ambience, that surrounding, contamination free. Because if there is contamination, we will not get our results. So what is this? this involves maintenance of contamination-free ambience. Ambience is surrounding. In chemical engineering processes for manufacture of products such as antibiotics, vaccines. So whatever products you are manufacturing, if your ambience is contaminated, then you won't be able to get the desired results. So to get the desired results, it should make the ambience should be made contamination free. What is contamination free? Means we want only desired microbes to grow there. We don't want any other microbes to grow there. So this is called chemical engineering. In this, what is done? That the ambience is made chemically contamination free, so that no undesired microbe can grow there. So this is done so as to enable the growth of only desired microbe responsible for a bioprocess. That means that whichever microscope we want, we will let only that microbe grow, not the other microbes which are contaminating our ambience. Clear? So these are the basically two basic principles for modern biotechnology. One is genetic engineering and second is chemical engineering. Now we will see how genetic engineering is done. Now we know that asexual reproduction, what happens in asexual reproduction? Asexual reproduction is only the multiplication by mitosis cell division, where the genetic information remains same. So there is no variation, nothing. The parent cell, whatever genetic material is present in the parent cell, the same will be received by the daughter cells. That is asexual reproduction. And in asexual reproduction, the genetic information is preserved. Whereas in sexual reproduction, it preserves variation. In sexual reproduction, you will get variation. Why? Because of the meiosis, formation of special cells which are called gametes. And then there is union of gametes for fertilization. So there is mixing of genetic material, and by mixing of that genetic material, we are ensuring variations. Plant and animal hybridization procedures often result in the introduction of undesirable genes. I gave you the example of that tomato. That is the simplest example, because in hybridization, what happens with desirable genes, there are chances, very bright chances, that we can also introduce undesirable genes, because we are not separating the genes. We are taking the whole plant or whole animal and crossbreeding them. So that may result in the introduction of undesirable as well as desirable genes. Now, genetic engineering is overcoming this limitation. Now, how genetic engineering is done? For genetic engineering, we have to create a recombinant DNA. Now, I told you what is recombinant DNA. Recombinant means recombination. You have combined two different types of DNA. That is called recombinant DNA. So, first of all, you have to create recombinant DNA. Then you have to clone that gene which you want. Whatever is the gene of interest, you have to make multiple copies of that gene, and that is called gene cloning. And then you have to transfer that gene into the host organism where you want that phenotype to be changed. Like in plants, the gene responsible for glow was transferred, so you have to transfer to the host organism. So these are the three steps which are there in the genetic engineering. Now, the introduced piece of DNA does not replicate in the host unless it is integrated with the chromosome of host. Suppose you have put a piece of gene in any cell. It will not replicate. It will only replicate when it is incorporated or integrated with the chromosome of the host. And another thing is that it should be at the place where the origin of replication is there. because now you know how DNA replicates. DNA starts its replication at the origin of replication. So for getting replicated, the foreign DNA must integrate into the host DNA sequence having the origin of replication. That means wherever we are putting our gene of interest, that the DNA sequence of the host should have origin of replication there. Then only our gene of interest will replicate. When this integration occurs, foreign DNA is replicated. Then in this our gene of interest, that is the foreign DNA, it is mixed with the host DNA. And now when the host DNA is replicating, our gene of interest will also replicate. So it will form many copies. And this process is called cloning. What is cloning? Cloning is the process of formation of multiple identical copies of DNA. Identical copies will be formed, same copies. Now, recombinant DNA technology. This is the technology by which we are doing the process of biotechnology. Refers to the joining together of DNA molecules from two different species that are inserted into the host organism to produce new genetic combinations that are of value of science, medicine, agriculture, and industry. DNA molecules formed by laboratory method. Now remember that these all the recombinant DNA is being produced in the laboratory by methods of genetic recombination to bring together genetic material from multiple sources, creating sequences that would not otherwise be found in the genome. Now, what we are doing by introducing the foreign DNA, we are creating the genome which is not present actually. Like I gave you example of that globe. So that globe was not present in the trees actually, but after the introduction of the foreign DNA, now this genome which is formed, the new genome, that is the genome which we want because of the quality of glow. So it is like street lamps, the glowing trees. So we are doing it for our products, beneficial products and services. Now we have to understand that how we are making, how we are constructing a recombinant DNA. First of all, plasmid. We should understand what is plasmid. Plasmid is a autonomously replicating, which will keep on replicating on its own, circular and extra chromosomal DNA. It is not present in the chromosome. It is present outside the chromosome, and it is, that's why it is called extra chromosomal. So that is plasmid. This plasmid is isolated. First, we will isolate the plasmid. Now, this plasmid DNA acts as a vector. Since it is used, what is a vector? We have learned vector in infectious diseases. The vector is one which is bringing the causative organism from infected person to the healthy person. Transfer. It is what is the function of vector? Transferring. Here also it is called vector because what is this plasmid DNA doing? It is transferring the piece of DNA which is attached to it to the host. So it is transferring the gene of interest to the host. That's why it is called vector. Now, plasmid DNA also contains genes responsible for providing antibiotic resistance to the bacteria. Now, first of all, the first recombinant DNA which was formed, it was formed by inserting the gene which is for the antibiotic resistance. The desired gene was antibiotic resistance, and that gene was put into the microbe, which bacteria, where this antibiotic resistance gene was put. So this was the first recombinant DNA which was being created in the laboratory. And this was done by Stanley Cohen and Herbert Boyer in 1972. So plasmid DNA is containing genes which are responsible for providing antibiotic resistance to the bacteria. Now, plasmid DNA was cut with a specific. Now, you know how can we cut the DNA? By molecular scissors. And what are these molecular scissors? Restriction enzymes, endonucleases and exonucleases. Now, this restriction enzymes are very, very specific. They cut the DNA at specific location. They are sequence specific. So if restriction enzyme is cutting the DNA between A and G, so it will always cut between A and G. It will never cut anywhere else. So they are the specific enzymes which cut the DNA at specific location. Now what the DNA of interest, the foreign DNA, that is also cut with the same restriction enzyme, and then this DNA of interest is hybridized with the plasmid with the help of DNA ligase. In DNA replication, we saw that DNA ligase is the enzyme which is responsible for joining of the sequences. So here also the DNA ligase is playing its role to form the recombinant DNA. Now this recombinant DNA is then transferred to a host. Now here what was the host? E. coli. From where we have taken the antibiotic, the vector was Salmonella. From Salmonella, the plasmid is the vector, and then it was put into the E. coli. So E. coli, where the recombinant DNA is present, it will form the multiple copies. So how can you separate which one has got recombinant DNA and which one has not got? So to find out that, we will put that the microorganism for which the resistance is present. So if the resistance is shown, that means the bacteria has got recombinant DNA in it. So this recombinant DNA is then transferred to a host such as E. coli, where it replicates by using the host replicatory machinery. Now, what is host replicatory machinery? The host genome, because host genome is replicating. Now, with this host genome, the new DNA is also replicating. Now, when this E. coli is cultured in a medium containing antibiotic, only cells containing recombinant DNA will be able to survive, because only the recombinant one have got the antibiotic resistance quality. The others have not got. So we can separate which one has got the recombinant DNA and which one has not got. So when E. coli is cultured in a medium containing antibiotic, only cells containing recombinant DNA will be able to survive due to antibiotic resistance genes, and one will be able to isolate. This we will learn that there are selectable markers. So by that we can separate the recombinant DNA with the non-recombinant DNA. So this is how they are separated. Now restriction enzymes are used as a tools for recombinant DNA technology. As I told you, restriction enzymes are what? Restriction enzymes are the special enzymes which cut the DNA at particular sequence, and they are of two types. These restriction enzymes are of two types: endonucleases and exonucleases. So endo, as the name suggests, it cut the DNA within the DNA. That means in between the DNA, it can cut at specific positions. Whereas exonucleases are the enzymes which cut the DNA at the ends, towards the end. Exo, remove the nucleotide at the ends of the DNA. So this is the difference between these two types of nucleases, which are restriction enzymes, which are also called molecular scissors, because they cut the DNA at the specific location. Now, every restriction enzyme identifies different sequences. That's what it is called recognition sequence for that restriction enzyme. So every restriction enzyme has got its recognition sequence. For example, AG. So if a restriction enzyme has got recognition sequence AG, it will only recognize AG and it will only cut between A and G. So that specificity is there. Now, over 900 restriction enzymes have been isolated. We have 900, more than 900 restriction enzymes, and all of which are identifying, are recognizing different sequences. So they all have their specific recognition sequence. Recognition sequences are palindromic. Now, what is palindromic? Palindromic is when you read from here or you read from here. It will be same. For example, there are certain words also in English. For example, Malayalam. So Malayalam, if you write the spelling of Malayalam, if you read from here also, it will same. From forward as well as backward, it is same. So that sequence is called palindromic. So palindromic sequence are the sequences of base pairs that read same backwards and forward. Now see this example. This is 5 prime, 3 prime. GAATTC. This is 3 prime, 5 prime. CTTAAG. Now read this from forward, GAATTC. Read this from backward, GAATTC. Both are same. That is forward and this is backward. So restriction enzymes cut a little away from the center of palindrome site, but between the same two bases on the opposite strands. For example, this is the example we have sent of palindromic sequence. Now what happens? Suppose we got one restriction enzyme whose recognition site is G and A, between G and A. So it will cut here and separate G from AATTC, and the same enzyme will cut this strand from here and it will separate CTTAA from G. So what we will get is, we will get G and AATTC, and here we will get CTTAA and G. Now, this is alone, complementary pairing is not done, they have got separated, and this is also alone. So what will happen? These are called sticky ends. Because these sticky ends, because they want their complementary pair. So they are called sticky ends. They overhangs and they are waiting for their base pair, for complementary base pair to come and get attached. So these sticky ends will come together and they join with each other by hydrogen bonds. Sticky ends from hydrogen bond form hydrogen bonds with their complementary counterparts and with the help of DNA ligases. Which enzyme is responsible for pasting them, sticking them? DNA ligase. And this is all happening with the recombinant DNA technology. Now see this. With this diagram, you will understand each and everything very nicely. Now the enzyme cuts both DNA. What are the two DNAs? One is vector DNA, that is plasmid DNA. Because we have to cut the plasmid, we cannot put anything in plasmid until and unless we cut some piece. So we have to cut a piece of plasmid. And there we have to put the foreign DNA. So this is your vector DNA, that is the DNA of plasmid. And this is your foreign DNA, which you want in your host. Okay. Now this has got the sequence G AA, TTC, and here G after complementary pairing, CTTAAG. Now here also foreign DNA is also having the same sequence. So we require same restriction enzyme for both the DNA. For both the DNAs, we require same restriction enzyme. Now, which restriction enzyme is being used here? EcoR1. Restriction enzyme name is EcoR1. Now, how this naming is done, we will see that also. EcoR1 is cutting the DNA between bases G and A only. It will not cut anywhere else. It will only cut between G and A. When the sequence G, A, T, T, C is present in the DNA. Okay. Now what will happen? Here also it will cut. 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 So 4 places G and A is there. So it will cut on 4 places. Restriction enzyme is EcoR1, whose recognition sequence is G and A. Okay. Now, what will we get after removing this? Here only G is present, and from here the G is removed. Now, this TTAA is alone. They don't have the complementary pairs. Here also this AATT is alone. No complementary pairs. And these two are called sticky ants. Sticky ants means they are ready to stick. They are going to stick with the help of complementary base pairing, with the help of the DNA ligase enzyme. Now what will happen? These sticky ants, they will join at the sticky ends by ligase. So ligase, what ligase will do? Ligase will join this vector DNA with the host DNA. Now this is, with the foreign DNA. This is foreign DNA and this is vector DNA. So what we have done? We have constructed recombinant DNA. Now this is your recombinant DNA, where we have got the desired gene. This was our desired gene, and we have mixed that desired gene in the vector genome. Now, this vector genome, this DNA, recombinant DNA, will make several copies. That is called cloning. Now, how we name the restriction enzyme? As I told you, this is EcoR1. So what does that mean? We have over 900 restriction enzymes, and they all have specific recognition sites. So how do we name them? So for naming the restriction enzymes, there are certain conventions, certain rules. The first letter is the genus of the organism from which the enzyme is derived. Okay. The second and third letter is the species. First letter is genus. Second and third letter is species. Fourth letter is name of the strain. Fifth letter is the Roman number of isolation. Number of isolation means it was isolated first or it was isolated fifth, like that. Now, which restriction enzyme we use in the diagram? EcoR1. Now see this, Eco. First letter is Escherichia. So Escherichia is the genus. CO, coli. Second and third letter is E. coli. Coli is species. R is strain. R strain, rough strain. R strain. And 1 means it is in Roman. It is always written in Roman. 1 means it was the first to be discovered from the Escherichia coli. So EcoR1 means that it is the genus is from where this enzyme is being extracted. The genus is Escherichia. The species is coli. The strain is R. and it was the first to be discovered. So the name is Eco R1. This is naming. Now see this diagram. This diagram also explains how recombinant DNA technology is working. This is the bacteria. Now this bacteria is having this bacterial chromosomes which are lying here. They don't have nucleus. And this is the plasmid. This is extra chromosomal DNA, plasmid. Now this plasmid, what is done is, we will take this plasmid out. Okay. Now, when we take this plasmid out, with the help of the Eco R1, Eco R1 is the restriction enzyme. So Eco R1, we will cut this plasmid. We have cut this plasmid. Now this plasmid is open and it is cut, and it is having sticky ends here. This is sticky end. This is also sticky end. Okay. Now what we'll do, this is our gene of interest. Which gene? We want human growth hormone. We want to produce human growth hormone on commercial basis. We want to make tablets of human growth hormone for the tallness. So what we will do is, from the human cell, we have taken out the gene of interest. Now this gene of interest is the gene for human growth hormone. Now this also we will cut with Eco R1. Now this piece is the required, the desired DNA piece, which we want in our plasmid, in our vector. So what will we do? We will bring this DNA here. Now this DNA is also having sticky end after the function of this Eco R1, because Eco R1, when it is cutting, it is leaving the sticky ends. So this is having two sticky ends. This is also having two sticky ends. Now when this DNA will come here, these sticky ends will join and they will form this plasmid. Now this is the new plasmid, and this is recombinant DNA, because this is formed by the combination of genes. One was this original plasmid, and we have put the gene of interest in this. And what is our gene of interest? The gene for human growth hormone. So that we have incorporated with the plasmid. Now we will put this vector into some other bacteria for cloning. So this bacterial cell is containing gene for human growth hormone. So we have put this into the bacteria. Now this will make the copies. So this is how the recombinant DNA is constructed. Okay, see how it has been used, what we are doing. This is a plasmid from the bacteria, and this is the gene of interest from the cell. This cell can be any cell, plant cell, human cell, any cell, because wherever we will find the gene of interest, this gene of interest we will cut. Now, one thing you have to remember, that for cutting the plasmid and for the gene of interest, you have to take same restriction enzyme. Then only you will have sticky ends. So with the same restriction enzyme, this has been cut and this has been cut. Now this is recombinant plasmid. By incorporating that foreign gene into the plasmid, this has become recombinant plasmid. Now this recombinant plasmid is put into the bacteria. Okay. Now what will happen? This bacteria will put for the culture. So many copies of bacteria will be formed in this culture. This is done in the laboratory conditions. So this many copies have been formed. Now these many copies will amplify the genes. The gene will be amplified. There will be multiple copies of the desired gene which we want. So this can be used for scientific research. This can be used for medicine and pharmacological industries. This can be used as pest or insecticides resistance plants in making them. And this can be used as bacteria used to clean oil and toxic spills. when the ships and all, they spill the oil in the sea, these bacteria help in cleaning the oil spill. Now, similarly here, it can be used for the scientific research, it can be used for the pharmacological industries, it can be used for high temperature forming snow, it can be used for food industries. So these are the various industries for which these amplified genes, which we have formed multiple copies of the desired gene, which we have created, which we have formed by culturing this bacteria, is formed. Then we can use them anywhere we want. So here this diagram is making clear that where these applications are there for this. Now this is again the restriction enzyme ECO R1. This is the DNA fragments are joined. One is vector DNA and one is foreign DNA which we want to incorporate. So when these are cut by the restriction enzyme, which is the restriction enzyme, it should remain same, ECO R1. So ECO R1 will cut here, here, here and here, and it will form the sticky ends. And these sticky ends will be joined by DNA ligase enzyme. Formation of hydrogen bonds will take place and ligase will join them, and this will form, this is called recombinant DNA. So this is how recombinant DNA is constructed for biotechnology, for incorporating the desired gene in the host organism.